Every parent wants to raise strong, healthy kids, but when it comes to nutrition, it's not always easy to know if your child is getting everything they need. Do kids really need supplements, or is a balanced diet enough? And what about those gummy vitamins that look and taste just like candy? In this episode, we'll investigate the truth about vitamins for kids. From vitamin D and iron to multivitamins and probiotics, we'll sort through what's essential, what's optional, and what might actually do more harm than good. You'll learn how to make smart, evidence-based choices without wasting money or risking your child's health. I'm Dr. Stacie Stevenson, the Wellness Detective. Let's investigate.
Quick favor before you listen, remember to hit like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an episode. It's how you stay connected, and it helps this podcast reach more people who need this information. Thank you.
Starting us off about kids and vitamins is Hannah, who wrote this question. Hi, Dr. Stevenson. Do most kids actually need vitamins, or can they get everything from their diet?
Well, I think the question regarding whether kids need vitamins and can they get things from their diet is sort of old as the hills. And well, it is, because it's this idea that there's an older concept, even in clinical nutrition and functional medicine, that says children don't really need vitamins if they're eating a balanced diet. That might well have been true decades and decades and decades ago. For some reason, there's a controversy about giving kids vitamins. Today, because of their ultra-processed food diet, because they tend to take a lot of antibiotics, because of even some of the birth traumas and things like that they go through there, because we have this excessive level of developmental delays, autism, ADD, ADHD, we have high risk in these developmental and educational-oriented delays. My answer, and my answer has been this way probably for 20 years, is children actually really do need supplemental vitamins in their diet. Unless you're able to follow a really perfect, high greens and high level of greens and lots of vegetables and the clean proteins. And if you are giving a child dairy, it's a very, very clean dairy. Freshwater fish, good luck with kids, right? Even if you're giving your children a decently balanced diet, and let's say they're decent eaters, they have a variety of eating, I would still give them vitamins. And the core vitamins that you need to give them are for their neural development. And in other words, their neural development, brain development, and probably also support their immune system and also support their bone structure. The simple answer is, at the most simple end of the spectrum, I believe all children need a very clean, strong multivitamin that's designed for children's dosing. And that's always the question, is the dosing per the weight of the child. That's a little bit tricky, and I think that's what scares people. So if you grab a calcium off the shelf at your local store where you buy your vitamins, well, that's designed for adults. But it's the dosing that's designed for adults, not the nutrient itself. So the devil is in how much the kid gets per their weight and per where their gut development is at the time. You are nearly always safe giving a probiotic. I guess I shouldn't have said always, but the categories that I would think of for children are a strong, clean, easily digestible multivitamin. I can't imagine a kid in the United States that wouldn't benefit from that. Even mine, who have a really, really, really strong, varied diet. My kids think salad is a food group, and they eat their veggies, but most don't. And I've worked really hard at doing it. And I know that just some people, it just doesn't happen for many, many, many reasons. And you need to not beat yourself up. Think of it as an insurance policy. There are pediatric, clean, easily digestible vitamins that are available on the market. There are liquids, there are chewables. Believe it or not, you can teach a 4 or 5-year-old and above how to swallow capsules. There's a way to teach children how to swallow smaller capsules. That might sound a little bit scary. I'm not suggesting you just do it, But definitely there are chewables and liquids and powders, drinks that you can easily add to their food, and powders that you can add to their food. The second that is critical for their neural development is EPA, DHA, or fish oil. And the third that I like a lot is vitamin C to support their immune system. And the fourth that I like a lot to support is our probiotics. And there are pediatric-oriented, age-appropriate, digestible probiotics for kids. So we're in a different terrain in children's vitamins now, just like we are in a different terrain for adults taking nutrients, supplements, and vitamins. What we aren't talking about is newborns and infants. We're talking about children. And I could also go over a whole phase of where certain nutrients are appropriate for at different stages. And it changes as they grow, and it changes as they're able to digest, and it changes as with their needs. But I'm not terribly scared of giving children over a year probiotics, for example, a very small dosing of vitamin C. That's really about it, say at that 1 year mark. And then you sort of progress into the toddler world, and you can begin to work with multivitamins and a little bit more vitamin C. You can begin to work with a little bit of vitamin D, but the critical aspect is in the dosing.
The next question is from a mother in San Diego. She asks, "Dear Wellness Detective, my child is such a picky eater. Are vitamins a good way to cover what he's missing?"
Well, when your child is a picky eater, you only have one choice, and that is to utilize vitamins to cover what he or she is missing. There's no other choice. Now, you can use it in the form of a drink. It could be a chewable. It could be a powder. But if the diet is hot dogs, chicken fingers, peanut butter and jelly and bananas, you don't have a choice. I mean, you really don't have a choice. Then you need to be thinking of the toxicity that their little bodies already have to deal with. And so you just continue to put them behind the curve if they are more of a picky eater. Keep working on the eating, but you have no choice but to give some nutritional support, in my opinion.
Emma, a YouTube subscriber, asks, "Dr. Stacie, is it safe to give kids gummy vitamins every day?"
You know the gummy vitamin thing. The gummy vitamins are kind of a tough thing for me to decide on. There are cleaner ones. There are good brands. It is very hard to put very much milligrams of each nutrient, or micrograms, depending on the nutrient, into the vitamin. But I feel that if it is a decent, clean, chewable, gummy oriented, and and you're not going to get that nutrient any other way, then if you're asking me if it's safe and effective, yes, you probably may not have a choice. There are, and remember, one of my favorites for children, the EPA DHA oil, is not easy to get them to take because it stinks like fish. So you need a delivery system. And there are some brands that have really good gummy fish oil vitamins that the kids think is basically candy. And that's fine because they're just two little pieces that they eat. There are also liquids in EPA DHA fish oils that have better flavoring, like orange, basically to cover up the fish scent. And like I said, I've taught, not a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, but school-age children can safely learn how to swallow a capsule. That probably is a subject of a whole different show, but gummies, I'm not against them. I like chewables better, that just sort of chew into a powder and they drink some water and swallow the powder. I also like more putting a powdered supplement into, say, a drink that the child likes, where they kind of make a shake and that it becomes a treat. Those are more digestible also. So that's my position on gummies and chewables and liquids for kids.
And another question on vitamins in kids is from San Diego. This mother of 3 asks, I've heard vitamins can be harmful if kids take too many. How much is too much?
So vitamins can be harmful if kids take too many. Of course it can be, because we dose it based on their weight. So you cannot dose vitamins that are designed for an adult. So when you buy generally say a jar of a certain multivitamin, or you buy vitamin C, or you buy vitamin D, or you buy vitamin E at the market, those are designed, when you read that dose, if it says take 2 capsules daily with a meal, let's say that's the instruction on the bottle, that is designed for a 150-pound adult person. Funny thing is, usually they've been tested on men. That's just the industry. And so you can see that you're going down to a 40-pound kid, or a 50-pound child, or a 60-pound child. Ideally, my recommendation would be that you work with a functional-oriented doctor, a clinical nutritionist, a naturopathic person who works with pediatric patients to help you dial in your dosing. You could do this in one visit with one of these professionals. You could get in contact with say a naturopath that works with children. In 1 or 2 visits, they could easily design you a basic program for your 5-year-old. Actually, they could do your clinically. I could handle a family. You know, if you have a 3-year-old, a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 9-year-old, and we work together for a couple hours over a month or 2 or something like that, we could probably easily design a very basic nutrient program for each of your children based on their age and their needs. It's not that hard, because you don't really have to do much testing. If you think a child is actually truly deficient in something and truly having symptoms and all that, then that's a whole workup. But a relatively healthy child, we can easily design a basic program for them.
Paisley from the UK sent you this question. Dr. Stacie, should boys and girls take different vitamins?
Oh, the boys and girls taking different vitamins? Not really. Not really. I can't think of, No, it's from a boys and girls perspective, there's no concern. There's really no concern until puberty. So you've got a long run there.
And here's a question from Rowan25, who follows you on Instagram. She asks, Dear Wellness Detective, I have young twins. What's the most important vitamin for their growth and development?
Oh, the most important for children's neural and brain development is fish oil, EPA, DHA. The most important vitamin for children's bone development, boys and girls, is vitamin D. And then that takes us to the most important support and nutrient for their gut development and health of their digestion are probiotics. The other macronutrient that I want everybody to think about, because picky eaters, eating the chicken, the fried foods, the French fries, the hot dogs. I know, I'm sorry, all the kid foods that they love and they want to eat, and the peanut butter and jelly. Protein could be really critical to supplement in their diet, and that you can get in protein drinks. You can get in protein powders. There is no reason that you can't adjust those for pediatric formulations. And in fact, there are pediatric protein powders made. And so if I had a picky eater that ate peanut butter and jelly and sugar and bananas, and I couldn't get them to eat, and bread, let's say, they eat a lot of bread, which is often what they do. They like their French fries, and they like their chips, and they like their, you name it. They like everything that you don't want them to eat, essentially. I would give them protein supplementation. And that can be, there are different types. There are soy proteins, there are whey proteins, there are almond proteins, there's pea protein. And some of that's just your personal decision. If you don't give your children dairy, then don't use any of the dairy-based proteins. I don't use those really a lot with people because I support more of a dairy-free diet in general for most people. So there's plenty of protein that you could figure out for your children to get that down.
A mother from New York City asks the next question. Dr. Stacie, I wanted to know, Are multivitamins better for kids or giving single vitamins?
If you're stuck deciding what you want to do with vitamins for children, I would go with a pediatric-based clean multivitamin. It's easier for you. They're pre-designed so that you're not underdosing or overdosing any specific micronutrient. If you kind of like the keep it simple system, I'd go with multivitamin. We use individual vitamins more for children when there's a deficiency that we've tested and analyzed and understood that it's there. And then we also use individual vitamins for children when we just absolutely know they're not eating it. Like DHA is critical for their brain development. And that's one of the oils in fish and nuts and seeds. But those are also things that most kids aren't going to eat very much. So that one can sort of become a no-brainer. And then they probably aren't getting a whole lot of vitamin D and calcium necessarily. So that is a really easy one that also comes in various liquid forms that you can give. So remember, you can do a multivitamin and an EPA and a vitamin D supplement. And in fact, that's kind of my favorite children's package are those three. Like if somebody came to me and it's more like, what's the children's? It's like the children's Desert Island 3 instead of the Desert Island 5. Yeah. So I feel like the pediatric Desert Island 3 is your high quality multivitamin, pediatric based, dose age appropriate. And that's generally kind of that age 5 to 12, roughly. And your vitamin D, and just forgot what I keep talking about, D, and EPA DHA. Pediatric multivitamin, children's dose vitamin D, and children's dose EPA DHA. That's your children's Desert Island 3.
And our final question on kids and vitamins comes from a listener from Seattle. She asks, Dear Wellness Detective, my kids don't get enough sun exposure. Do they need extra vitamin D?
You know, vitamin D is something I actually think should be part of an annual health exam for your children. In other words, testing. I like the idea of testing vitamin D, even for kids. We don't like giving children a whole lot of blood tests. I know. But I think that one is so critical that even getting a blood analysis, maybe not until they're closer to 10 years old, per se, but it sure would be nice to get baselines and see if they're getting enough D. It could even be something they get every couple of years, starting perhaps at age 10 or 11, moving through that adolescent phase. You know, I know I seem to be focusing a lot today on younger children, but probably a whole different show for adolescents. Even with the sun, and even if you're giving your children typical dairy, you really don't know without testing. And another thing that you could do is if you really feel you're doing fine with vitamin D in your kids, like you said, I give them dairy, they're in the sun a lot, then what you could do just as an insurance policy is you could just take what the dose is, say for their 50 pounds, and cut it in half. Just to give a little bit of insurance, but not overdo it. And by the way, vitamin D is stored anyway in the liver. So as long as you're not giving them thousands of IU per day, you can just give them a little bit of insurance. And there'll be a little bit of D in the multivitamin, by the way. So if you really strongly feel that they're doing okay and they're growing and they're strong, and then maybe the multivitamin will be enough. Thanks for joining me today on The Wellness Detective. Vitamins can be helpful for kids, but only when used wisely. Food should always be the foundation of health, and supplements should fill in the gaps, not replace real nutrition. Here's the takeaway. Don't be swayed by flashy labels or clever marketing. Look at your child's diet first, talk with your pediatrician, and only add supplements where they're truly needed. Remember, more is not always better, especially when it comes to kids. If this episode gave you clarity, subscribe, leave a review, or share it with another parent who's asking the same questions. And don't forget, you can always send me your wellness questions at drstaciestevenson.com. I may answer them in a future episode. Until next time, keep being curious, keep asking the hard questions, and keep being your own wellness detective. I'm Dr. Stacie Stevenson, wishing you peace of mind and vibrant health for your whole family.
If this episode makes you think differently about your health, don't just move on. Remember to hit like and subscribe so you're here for the next conversation. Thanks so much for listening. Join me for our next podcast.